so.
No, we keep it good. Good cold. You guys good today?
Yep. Yeah, how are you?
Great.
Found out we got a new rule, so if I have meetings, you guys get Chick-fil-A that day.
So every day then, right?
Just trying to get more people to show up.
All right, camera's good in back. All right, Coach, whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, we really excited about having an opportunity to have Inky Johnson here this week to kind of start training camp off. I thought he had some great messages. You know, Inky's got a unique perspective on life, and I think he's as real as they come. I'm always thankful for his approach, right? He's very intentional with what he does in life, and I think he's got a passion for young people. So very impactful, just challenging our guys relative to living life with conviction, our intentionality about our attitude, our approach, our mindset. And he had a great quote. He said, you know, his personal definition of character is when what I say, what I do, and how I live my life become one. So I think that really spoke to our guys. And the guy's a really special human being and certainly got a ton of respect for what he does. So really good to have Inky here. A little bit of an injury update. I know you'll have some questions there. We can kind of get that out of the way. You know, Lindell Hudson, you know, was in a car accident. He's in concussion protocol. Shamar James, lower body injury, banged up a little bit yesterday. That's kind of day-to-day to be determined. And then we anticipate getting a couple of these soft tissue guys back, Trey Wilson, Ty Bowman. And outside of that, I think we're in pretty good shape. But, you know, we're 3 days in. Last night was spirited, first day in pads. Really like this team, and I respect their approach to accountability. We talk about telling each other the truth and being consistent in that, living the truth, telling the truth, and being able to take the truth, right? And ultimately, this group's in a good place. We've got some leadership that has developed, and I think the personality of this group is in a good place. So what questions we got here?
Billy, are you able to confirm that Shamar's injury was to his knee, and with him potentially sidelined, what are you looking for from some of these young linebackers as well as transfers that have come into this rebuild position?
Yeah, lower body injury to be determined, but I do think it presents opportunity. You know, Shamar's obviously contributed to our team, played a bunch last year, but you know, that group is very competitive. It's one of the more competitive positions on our team, and we're really excited about that group. The growth we've seen, the maturity we've seen. You know, take a guy like Scooby, who's made tremendous progress. Certainly getting Wingo back from the injury. Then you throw Taraja Mitchell, Manny Nunnery in the mix, and Jaden obviously is a freshman. All those guys have been here, you know, going all the way back to January. So it's a very competitive room, and this is going to allow those guys to get more reps and take full advantage of the situation.
Could you expand a little on just the leadership qualities those guys have shown, especially with two great players to fill the shoes in for there?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things about our team is that I think this group of transfers in particular, there's a handful of these guys that have tremendous maturity, experience, leadership. There's an awareness. They come in with a different perspective. They see what's positive. They see what's negative. And I think that's been really beneficial for our team. Taraja Mitchell fits into that category, right? So he's been a part of really good teams. And I think he's got a unique perspective, and he's provided leadership there. Wingo's one of the more respected people and players on our team. We all know that. there's others that fit into that. Cam Carroll's got presence. Graham Mertz has presence. R.J. Moten has presence. Those are guys that I think are a little bit older, see things with a little bit more maturity and awareness, and I think that's been beneficial for our team.
Really, you can talk a little bit about the addition of Brandon Spikes, just working with the unit, what his role is, and kind of how that transpired.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Brandon. Vernell Brown reached out to me, I'm going to say, really, it's been pretty recent. I think going back to June, Brandon came into town. He's coming back to get his degree. And he wanted to have a role. He wanted to contribute to this place. He really cares about the University of Florida and what this place did for him, not only as a football player, but as a man, as a student. The way that helped kind of his path in life. And he's had legitimate success at the professional level, right? Immediately, he's brings credibility, pedigree, production, and I respect Brandon. Brandon's very intelligent. He's been around a lot of football, a lot of players, a lot of coaches, a lot of teams. He cares about the place, and I think he's really brought something. There's presence there, and I've told him, I said, look, be vocal, and he's doing a good job of mentoring players. He's already connected with a number of guys. So I think Spikes is gonna make our team better. So it's always good to get a guy who is doing the right thing, coming back to get his degree, that has experience and that could influence our young people in a positive way.
I know it's kind of early and they're not necessarily in pads yet, but any young faces, any newcomers that have kind of stood out in your mind or the first couple of days?
Yeah, no, I think I'm not disappointed with any of the players that we've added to our team. In particular, I'm very pleased. I think the evaluations were spot on. I think the body types are what you would look for. And a lot of these guys are going to have to play. There's a lot of height, length, and speed out there. And I think for the most part, they've got character, and, it's just going to be a matter of taking advantage of each meeting, each walkthrough, each practice. And, young players, they haven't felt the urgency, right? They don't quite know what it's like on third down in the swamp, right? So in some of these venues we have to play in on the road. So that's coming. In the meantime, I think our veteran players are trying to educate them on, hey, look, it's going to get thick here pretty soon. So we got to make the most of each opportunity. So overall, very pleased with every young player out there.
Billy, you said the competition at linebacker is going to be fierce, but that cornerback opposite Jason Marshall, what do you see there? It seems like several guys vying for that spot.
Well, it's great. Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. No, it's great to get Devin Moore back healthy. Obviously he started as a true freshman. And then Jalen obviously he had a terrific offseason, right? So Kimber's had a lot of lean muscle. He's always tested well. He can run, he can jump. He's had the injury upon arrival with the shoulder. That was a little bit of a setback. And then he had the cast last year on his hand. So I think he's a player that sees an opportunity. And, you throw the young players in there when you start talking about Jakeem and Inky Johnson, who's been very impressive. So Gates is, not quite there, but he's able to participate with the brace on coming off the knee. I think that's a good room, and certainly it's going to be competitive.
With regard to the tight end room, looks like Dante Sanders did quite a bit of work to kind of lean out and get his body into good shape. Just what do you see with that unit? Maybe guys with like Arliss who have progressed to a point where they might be able to contribute.
Yeah, I think tight end and safety are very similar in a lot of regards in terms of we're going to be dependent on young players that maybe don't have significant experience. Maybe we've got a veteran or two. But I like that group. There's growth that needs to take place there. I do think they had a really good summer. it's one of the more challenging positions on our team. Safety would be in the same category. So that's always a little bit of a concern as a coach. But I do think we have capable players. You know, Dante is respected on our team. He's got a little bit of a unique story. And a guy who I think cares about the team. He's a selfless player. And he's a very capable player. Arliss is talented. Hayden's talented. Tony's talented. Certainly Odom's coming off the knee. And then we moved Andrew over. So, you know, that group there's minimal experience there outside of Dante. And, you know, Odom played at times last year as well. So we need that group to come on, and it's a really important training camp for them.
Billy, Austin Armstrong came up in the age of technology even more than you and a lot of us, and seems to be using that to his benefit with the way he structures practices. I think Coach Chaos even mentioned how he does it differently. What do you think of the style where it's like brief film, walkthrough, back and forth doing that, and how does that keep the kids engaged?
No, I think that, you know, we've always been we're always looking for a better way. You know, I mean, there's no question. I think everybody's responsible for that. But I do think that the kids learn better sometimes in a walkthrough setting. There's no question about it, right? And research would tell us that, you know, this group of young people, from an attention span standpoint and all those different things, you need to keep them moving, right? So I'm a little old school as well, right? I think they ought to be able to sit in a room and pay attention for 45 minutes and take great notes. And so we talk a lot about meeting room expectations. You know, we work closely with a lot of outside people to help us do that better. And certainly a walkthrough is an extension of the meeting. You know, stand up and take it to the grass, take it to a room like this. And I think it's very beneficial for our players for sure.
Are grading any of that in other position groups? I mean, with the other side of the ball, excuse me, because it sounds like this entire defense.
Yeah, we have. This is nothing new, is what I would say. I think we're probably spending more time together as a unit, okay, than maybe we have in the past, and I think it's been beneficial.
What are you seeing from the quarterbacks and the chemistry with the receivers, just kind of in the passing group?
Yeah, I've been pleased. You know, I think we continue to get better. I think, you know, throwing and catching perspective, I think we've gotten a little bit better each day, which is to be expected. It was very much like that in spring ball. We came off of a 3-day break, but I do think that I've been very pleased. I thought we probably had our best day at receiver yesterday. The young players are improving, and I think we're getting good, consistent play. Ricky's really sharp. I think Caleb Douglas is doing good things. Andy Jean has made a big jump, you know, this summer. Hopeful to get some of these guys back here. Trey, Ty, those guys will contribute. That'll be a big deal to get those guys back healthy.
How do you coordinate rep distribution at quarterback this early on in camp? Is it like a focus on trying to get as many first-team reps for as many guys as possible? Like, what's the breakdown? How do you kind of go about that?
Yeah, we have a specific plan for each practice, and I would tell you that that's for each position group. We try to spread out the workload for a number of reasons, just from a learning perspective, but also from a sports science standpoint. But, you know, we've got the QB set at a certain percentage right now, and then we just adjust practice to practice based off of what we see.
We talk a lot about Graham and Jack, but what have you seen from Max, just as a young guy who didn't play last year, but he seems to be spitting it really well and more accurate now than he was maybe even in the spring?
Yeah, no, Max has made improvement. You know, I think he's a classic example of a really good athlete that just started playing quarterback a couple of years into high school. And we took the guy for those reasons specifically, right? The pedigree as an athlete. He's a really good baseball player. The guy can run. I think he's gained like 8 or 9 pounds of lean muscle too, right? So I think just the repetition of throwing and catching. I think the quarterback blueprint that we use in the summer is pretty rigorous, and I think he's benefited from that. But there's no doubt his accuracy's improved. I think he's cleaned up his footwork. His stroke is, much more consistent. And again, I think there's some knowledge that contributes to that too, in terms of understanding the system. So I think Max has come along pretty nicely. So still, there's an information gap there. He's got to catch up mentally. But his work ethic this summer has impressed the staff, and it's impressed the players. So I think he's kind of got right in there in Graham's hip pocket, and he's worked the way that you would want a quarterback to work.
Not that Graham or Jack can't run, but is Max's athleticism something you could use this year in spots?
I think that's to be determined. But there's no question, as a player, that's one of the strengths that he has. He would bring there'd be an element to his game that I think could contribute to your team if he was playing.
Go to the back, Jake.
With Coach Armstrong, what is something that you're seeing differently with the defensive line and the linebackers as they work on the pass rush?
I think Austin's done a really good job connecting with the staff and with the players. I think first and foremost, that's where, anytime you take on a new group of people, that's the most important piece, right? And I think from the jump, he did a really good job. Obviously, getting the cliff notes from PT coming in. Okay, hey, you've been here a year. These are the issues. These are the things that need to be resolved and cleaned up. His relationship with PT, obviously having worked with myself in the past, has benefited. But I think Austin has a certain temperament, and I think that that's rubbed off on the staff and the players. I think that we're benefiting from that. I do think, again, I can't emphasize enough, we've improved personnel, and I think we also have the staff is in the second year. All the people around Austin are doing all these things for the second time. So, we need to improve on third down. I think that's pretty about as obvious as it can be. And we're working hard on that as we speak.
And also one more thing, what are fans going to expect at this live practice you're doing on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a good point, and I appreciate you tossing that one up there. I was hoping somebody would ask about that. Really just trying to bring back, it's a tradition in a lot of places that I've worked, but I think also at some point here it was a tradition. It's really a reward for the fans. Ultimately, they get an opportunity to watch the team play in spring, early in training camp for our fans, about a month out from the opener, to get a chance to sit in the swamp and watch our guys practice and, really see what goes into a football practice at this level. And I think put on display hundreds of people and how they contribute, right? We've got a lot of people that allow us to run a really efficient practice. So, you get to see some of the young players. You get to see some of the positions where there's competition. But more importantly, just a respect for the people in the organization that do a great job helping us practice the way we do. So, there's going to be a unique opportunity for our fans to watch us practice, and then there's also an opportunity to learn more about Florida Victorious. There's an autograph session post-practice for about 45 minutes where if you're a subscriber to Florida Victorious, you get an opportunity to participate in that. So we encourage all of our fans to do both. Come to the practice and certainly hang around for the autograph session after practice.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you all.